what I find strange about both Star Trek and Doctor Who is the retconning of the classic characters. Like one of the things they did with Next Generation that was smart is, even though they had DeForest Kelley playing Dr. McCoy in the pilot, after that there was almost a mandate that said, look, we're not going to talk about the old show. We're going to establish our new characters, our new lore, our new universe. It's almost 100 years later, and it wasn't until the third season they brought Mark Leonard in to play Sarek, Spock's father, again. So they had 3 years of them establishing themselves on their own. Discovery, now Strange New Worlds, they're set in the same time as Star Trek, and they're going back and they're retconning, like Doctor Who did, retconning the origins of Time Lords or whatever, and they're retconning these characters. They're giving Spock a learning disability, or they gave him one. Why? So the audience can be like, oh, I recognize myself in Spock now. And now they're going back and they're giving us Lieutenant or Cadet Uhura, Dr. Mbenga, Number One, Dr. Chapel. They're going back and they're giving us all of these characters we've previously met, and they will change them and tailor them to fit their own less than aware writing styles or whatever. And I find that is kind of like cultural vandalism in a way. And certainly the origins of, I mean, who are they to go back and take characters that were established 55 years ago? I mean, look at what they did with Next Gen. They gave that show time to breathe. They fixed it by the time certain writers came in, or by the third season, they changed it around and made it better than it was, and it had time to grow and have its own identity. But these Star Trek shows are all being built on the past, and they're changing the original series. It's very strange, and I don't understand it.
Well, it's entirely ego. It's entirely ego, because it allows the writers of these new shows to go back and say, hey, all that stuff that you worship so much, that you think was so great, well, it only came about because of what our characters did. They're actually responsible for all of this. And the heroes that you looked up to so much, yeah, they weren't that great after all. We're going to deconstruct them.
Yep.
So you've got nowhere to run. Our presence is all pervasive, and our fucking dirty fingerprints are now on everything, and you can never wipe it off. That's what they're essentially doing now, and it's really it's really frustrating to have.
That's what Chibnall's doing in Doctor Who, from what I could see.
Like, you look at William Hartnell as the first Doctor. Nah, he wasn't. The reign of the Doctors that you've seen on TV was but the merest blink of an eye in the great history of the Doctor. Yeah,
60 years. You vandalized a bit of British pop culture history.
Because as it stands, Chibnall's contribution to Doctor has been 3 seasons out of, dozens and dozens. The span of his work is 4-5 years out of 60 years that the Doctor's been around. But now what he's able to do with retcon in the history of the Doctor is saying, well, my influence now extends to this enormous unknown period in the Doctor's existence. Dude, and all of this stuff that came before me, that's just a tiny little bit. I control the majority of it now, and it's under my creative control.
Meme where you go, you are like the worst Doctor Who writer I've ever heard of. And he goes, but you have heard of me because I did the thing. And you're like, yeah, yes, I have heard of you.
Yep.
It's better to be hated than ignored, I guess.
Yeah.